Welcome students to this video lecture series on biochemistry. I am your teacher Ashwini Kumar Nigam. In previous lecture we have studied about the classification, optical activity, chirality and stereochemistry of amino acids. Today we will learn about the important facts regarding amino acids, their ionization patterns and ionizing properties, deuterions and certain biological significances of the amino acids. Now important facts about amino acids which are very important for your examinations. So first point is regarding the free hydroxyl group containing amino acids, means what are those amino acids which are bearing free hydroxyl group in their side chains. So those are serine, threonine and tyrosine. Aromatic amino acids, or you can say amino acids containing aromatic phenyl group in their side chain, those are phenylalanine, tyrosine and tryptophan. Sulfur containing amino acids are cysteine and methionine, but in cysteine sulfur is in the form of terminal free sulfhydryl group in the side chain, but in methionine sulfur is in between the group, it is not the free. Now unusual amino acids are glycine and proline. Why these are unusual? Because in glycine R group is another hydrogen atom, that's why glycine is containing a chiral carbon, that's why glycine is optically inactive molecule. On the other hand, in proline you will find that its alpha NH2 group is the part of the heterocyclic R group. So in this way proline is also known as amino acids, which we will see later on. Simplest amino acid is glycine. Optically inactive amino acids, as we have discussed previously, this is glycine just because of the absence of chiral carbon. Basic amino acids are arginine, lysine and histidine. These are also called as charged or positively charged amino acids because there exists positive charge at the side chain. Now acidic amino acids or those amino acids which are carrying negative charge as physiological pH, those are aspartate and glutamate, or when it is in the form of powder it is said to be aspartic acid and glutamic acid. Now amino acid is proline. Now amino acids with heterocyclic group, histidine, okay, proline and tryptophan. In histidine heterocyclic group is imidazole ring. In proline alpha amino group itself is the part of the heterocyclic chain, means heterocyclic group, and in tryptophan it is the indole ring which is forming the heterocyclic group. Heterocyclic group means there is another atom in place of the carbon with other carbon atoms in that cyclic structure. Now non-standard amino acids are ornithine, citrulline, dopa, homocysteine, etc. These non-standard amino acids are also called as non-proteinogenic amino acids, but these non-standard or non-proteinogenic amino acids which do not become the part of the protein during the protein synthesis, or you can say they are not utilized at the time of the protein synthesis, but all these four, ornithine, citrulline, dopa and homocysteine, are alpha amino acids. Now the next important topic in the biochemistry of amino acids is ionization or ionic forms or ionic species of alpha amino acids, and in this topic you will hear or you will see the term deuterion everywhere on the book or any type of the online video lectures. First of all, we should know what is the deuterion or what is the literal meaning of deuterion. It is derived from the German word which means hybrid ion or a particular ionic species carrying both types of charges, or you can say carrying both positive and negative charges at the same time. Okay. So when an amino acid is dissolved in water, it exists in solution as dipolar ion or deuterion having both positive and negative charges. Okay. Why such type of ionic species are formed of the amino acids whenever it is dissolved in water? Just because of the presence of ionizable functional groups. And in amino acids, if the R group is non-ionizable, or you can say R group is not charged group, so it is carrying only two functional or two ionizable functional groups. One is amino group and another is carboxyl group. Both the functional groups can be ionized whenever it is dissolved in the water or any solution, and the pattern of ionization is dependent on the pH of the solution. It is very important to note that the pattern of ionization is dependent on the pH of the solution. When it is getting the deuterionic form, I will explain you in later section, but in this way we can say the deuterions are those species of the amino acids which are carrying both the charges, one positive charge and one negative charge. So in this way the net charge on the deuterion of any amino acid molecule is 0, okay, because both the positive and negative charges cancel each other. Now, what is the significance of these deuterionic forms of amino acids in our biological system? To understand, we must first assimilate that how these charged groups in deuterion can act acid or act as base. So these deuterionic forms of amino acids can act as acid or base to serve as buffer to maintain constant pH of biological fluids. Okay. So one by one we will take up how this deuterionic form can act as base or can act as acid. So first of all, a deuterion can act as an acid, and we know that acids are proton donor, and you can see here that its charged amino group can donate a proton because it is in the form of NH3 plus. Okay. This NH3 plus ionized form of amino group can donate proton, and in this way deuterion can act as acid. Now second ionizable group is carboxyl group, which can accept proton and thereby acting as proton acceptor, and you people know that proton acceptor capability is known as basic nature or basic property, or it is acting as base. So in this way a deuterion can also act as a base, and the substances having the dual nature of reacting both as an acid and as a base are called as amphoteric substance, and they are also called as ampholites, okay, from the amphoteric electrolytes. In short, they are called as ampholites. And a simple monoamino monocarboxylic alpha amino acids such as glycine, alanine, valine and so on is a diprotic acid when fully protonated. At this state, the molecule has two groups or two functional groups, ionizable groups, the carboxylic acid group in the form of COOH and the amino group in the form of NH3 plus group. Okay. Now in this section we will understand how the ionization pattern of amino acid changes depending upon the pH of the solution or depending upon the pH of the biological fluids. To understand this, we must first understand what is the isoelectric point, which is here designated as Pi. So Pi or isoelectric point is the pH at which a molecule such as amino acid carries no net electrical charge. In other words, when any amino acid is dissolved in a solution of pH equal to its Pi value, the amino acid molecule carries no net charge or will carry zero charge, because presence of both positive and negative charges will cancel each other or will cancel the effect of each other imparting the net zero charge on that molecule. Okay, we have understood the concept of pi or isoelectric point. Now there are two thumb rules regarding the pi value of the molecule and the pH of its solution. Okay, so whenever a molecule is dissolved in a solution of the pH lower than its pi value, the molecule will get net positive charge. And another thumb rule is, whenever a molecule or ionizable molecule is dissolved in a solution having a pH greater than its pi value, it will carry net negative charge. Okay, these two thumb rules should be memorized at your tongue tip. Okay. Now, after understanding the isoelectric point, we will see the different ionization patterns or different ionic species of amino acids depending upon the pH of its solution, and we will understand this whole scenario while understanding the structure of or chemical structure of three important ionic species which may be present in the solution. Now there are three different chemical structures, or there are three different ionic species of a particular amino acid molecule whose R group is not having any charged functional group. Now the leftmost chemical structure is representing the completely protonated ionic species of the amino acid, and this occurs when the pH of solution is below the pi value of that amino acid. In this state, only amino group is ionized or it is protonated, and carboxyl group is not ionized because of its 100% or complete protonation. Okay, so both the functional groups of this ionic species is protonated. Okay, both functional groups are completely protonated. That's why this ionic species is known as completely protonated species and bearing only the net positive charge. Okay, that net positive charge is just because of the positive charge on the amino group in the form of NH3 plus. Why such type of ionic species are formed at the pH below the pi value? Just because of the increased or higher hydrogen ion concentration that has saturated all the functional groups. Here both amino and carboxyl groups are protonated, means they have accepted proton, and after accepting the proton, carboxylate group is converted into uncharged carboxyl group and amino group has been converted into charged amino group in the form of NH3 plus. Okay, now at this point this ionic species or completely protonated species is able to only donate the proton, that is not able to accept proton. Okay, so you can say this completely protonated ionic species of amino acid is behaving like a strong acid or only proton donor. Now proceed towards the middle of the structure, that is representing the deuterion. When it is formed, when you keep on increasing the pH of the solution, amino acid solution, and it is nearer or it is at the pi value of the amino acid. Now at this point hydrogen ion concentration is becoming lower and lower just because its pH is increasing. Okay, when pH is increasing, to adjust the hydrogen ion concentration in the medium, its strong acidic group is starting ionizing, yeah, it will start giving its proton. So carboxyl group is the stronger acidic group in this completely protonated structure. So first carboxyl group will donate its proton and that will be converted into negatively charged carboxylate group, and at this point this ionic species of amino acid is deuterion because it is having both positive and negative electrical charges on the same molecule. And when such type of ionic species are formed, when the pH of the solution will be equivalent to the pi value of the amino acid. Okay, now at this point there will be net zero charge on the amino acid molecule. Now if you keep on increasing the pH again beyond its pi value, then there will be further deficiency in the hydrogen ion concentration, and to compensate that deficiency, or you can say at that pH that is higher than that of the pi value of the amino acid, at this point now charged amino group NH3 plus group become deprotonated, or it will be able to give its proton. Now you can see the rightmost structure is the result of the deprotonation of its charged amino group. Now NH3 plus group after deprotonation or after giving its proton to the solution to adjust the pH, okay, it is becoming into the, or it is transforming into the uncharged amino group or NH2 group only. There will be no positive charge on the amino group when the pH of the solution is greater than the pi value. At this point only carboxyl group is deprotonated in the form of the COO minus or carboxylate functional group. Now at this point this ionic species of amino acid is completely deprotonated. Now this particular completely deprotonated form of the amino acid cannot further give its proton into the solution. So it is now behaving as proton acceptor only, or you can say it is now behaving as a strong base. And here the net charge on the molecule or this charge species will be -1, or there will be net negative charge on the strong base or on the completely deprotonated form of the amino acid whenever pH of the solution is higher than that of the pi value of the amino acid. Now just think for the reverse reaction, means if you go on decreasing the pH of the system just after the attainment of the completely deprotonated stage of the amino acid molecule. So therefore reverse of the reaction will be true for the function of amino acid as base, means it is first converting into the deuteronic form after getting proton from the system or from the solution. So in this stage, in this reverse reaction, or you can say in the direction of reverse reaction, first amino group will take up the proton, because here amino group is the stronger base than the carboxylate group which is present in this completely deprotonated form of the amino acid. Okay, now this amino group will be converted into NH3 plus group, now again attaining the deuteronic form. Then again if you go on decreasing the pH, or you can say if you go on increasing the hydrogen ion concentration, or if you go on increasing the proton in the solution, that will saturate both the functional group. So first amino group has been converted into charged functional group. Now next will be the carboxylate group, it will accept the proton from the solution and that will be converted again into the uncharged carboxyl group, or so you can say that will be again converted into completely protonated form or strong acidic form. So in this way the charge on the amino acid or ionization pattern of the amino acid is depending upon the pH of the solution. Now in this way we have understood about the ionization and different ionization patterns or different ionic species of amino acids. So up to this point we have studied about, or you can say we had studied a lot about the properties or nature of amino acids, including the structure, different R groups, their classification, their stereochemistry and so on. Now next an important topic from your examination viewpoint is biological significance of amino acids, or you can say what is the physiological significance of amino acids in our system. So in general we know that amino acids exist in nature in their L stereoisomers. In biological system, amino acids are present in their L stereoisomers. D stereoisomers of amino acids are not usually present in biological system, or they are not of biological importance, or you can say in this way only L stereoisomer of amino acids are biologically active form of the amino acids, and in general for proteinogenic amino acids, L alpha amino acids make or they are incorporated in the form of the polypeptide chain during the protein synthesis or during the translational process in our cellular physiology, or in other words you can say proteins are composed of only L stereoisomers of amino acids. Proteins are not made up of D stereoisomers of amino acids, because our enzymatic system of the translational process in the cell are stereo specific. They can pick only L stereo isoform of the amino acid from the solution, even if you are giving or you have provided both the stereoisomers L and D forms of the amino acids in the solution. Our system is able only to recognize L stereoisomer of the amino acids, and that will be incorporated into the polypeptide chain to form a fully functional protein. So in general we can say amino acids are organic substances that combine to form proteins, and thus they are building blocks of amino acids. And other important biological functions are as follows. One by one we will take up those important aspects of the amino acids besides forming the protein. Now, in various organisms, amino acids are crucial for growth, repair and good health, just because of their participation in the formation of proteins. And proteins are the molecular players as well as they are also structural framework providing molecules. कहा जाता है ना कि our body is composed of protein, carbohydrate and lipids, but proteins are the building blocks of our body. And what are those building blocks of proteins? Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. So therefore you can say amino acids are very crucial for the growth, repair and good health of the organism. And depending upon the organism, and if you talk about the human being or mammalian system, 9 essential amino acids must be taken through balanced diet for proper body functioning, as they cannot be synthesized by our body. Okay. Next is the importance of branched chain amino acids. What are those branched chain amino acids? In short, BCAAs. Those are valine, leucine and isoleucine. And if you recall from the nutritional classification, nutritional basis of the classification of amino acids, these 3 branched chain amino acids are essential amino acids. They are the member of the essential amino acids. Okay, from this point they are important in our food for the good health, but they are also important because of their participation in the stimulation of the protein synthesis and promotion of the good health of the muscular tissue, or you can say they promote the muscular tissue formation. And that's why such type of amino acids are recommended for those which are doing exercises or extraneous exercises in the gym. Now next point is about the role of the amino acids or utilization of amino acids for the formation of certain types of hormones. Okay, so those are tyrosine and tryptophan. So tyrosine is important for the synthesis of the thyroxine, including T3 and T4, and adrenaline and noradrenaline. On the other hand, tryptophan is important for the synthesis of melatonin. Now they are also important for the biosynthesis of certain neurotransmitters in our nervous system. Okay, so those are tyrosine for the synthesis of L-dopa and dopamine, tryptophan for the synthesis of serotonin, and then glutamate or glutamic acid for the synthesis of gamma aminobutyric acid, in short GABA. Now the next point about the significance of amino acid as the fifth point, which is fifth point, Few amino acids act itself as neurotransmitter in various parts of nervous system such as glycine and glutamate. Now about the important functions of non-standard, or you can say non-proteinogenic amino acids, and some of them are ornithine and citrulline, which are involved in urea synthesis. Okay, urea cycle, they are intermediates in the urea cycle. Then dietary L-dopa is utilized for the biosynthesis of dopamine and also for the synthesis of adrenaline and noradrenaline. Then next is beta alanine. Okay, this beta alanine is not the alpha alanine, or you can say that normal alpha alanine or alanine which is becoming the part of the protein synthesis. This is the beta alanine. This is a type of non-essential, non-proteinogenic or non-standard amino acid, and it is very important for increased muscle strength during intense exercise, and that's why for the gym practitioners this type of beta alanine is recommended to use. Now as we know that amino acids can act as acid or base. Okay, so amino acids in biological fluids are acting as acid or base and therefore make buffering system to maintain constancy of the milieu interior, or you can say constancy of the internal milieu or internal medium of our body. Now next is the cysteine. Importance of cysteine is given here. Cysteine can form disulfide bonds just because of the presence of free sulfhydryl groups. Those free sulfhydryl groups are oxidized to form cysteine molecule. Okay, that cysteine molecule is bearing such type of disulfide bonds. If this type of cysteine is present in any protein molecule, so just because of the presence of cysteine, that protein molecule or segment of the protein molecule, segment of that polypeptide chain can form intra-chain or interchain disulfide bonds, which play important role in folding and maintenance of three-dimensional structure of proteins. Okay, and such type of disulfide bonds are only present in the secretory forms of the protein, not in the cytosolic proteins, because cytosolic compartment is highly reducing compartment, and that's why such type of disulfide bonds cannot sustain in the reducing environment, because that reducing environment will convert these disulfide bonds back into the oxidized form, means that bond can be reduced. So cytosolic proteins are lacking such type of disulfide bond. These disulfide bonds are present only in secretory or excretory proteins, means those which are not present in the cytosolic compartment of the cell. Now a number of diseases are due to the abnormalities in the transport of amino acids that lead to the excess of one or more types of amino acid in our body, that may be in the form of or in the condition which is known as amino acid urea, means excessive excretion of amino acids through urine because they are not well metabolized in our system, or anyhow they are present in our blood in excess amount, or our kidney is not able to retain or reabsorb more frequently just after its ultrafiltration through the glomerulus. Next disorder related to the deficiency of one type of amino acid which is tryptophan, and that disorder is known as sleep disturbance, because tryptophan is essential for the synthesis of melatonin and serotonin, and these two hormones and neurotransmitters are very important to regulate the sleep wake cycle. So these are the few important physiological aspects or physiological functions of the amino acids, and so in this way we have completed the chapter which is concerning with the amino acids in your syllabus. Thank you all for listening and watching the whole video with patience. All the best.